Yeah, this one looks good. Yeah, I think this is the one.
Um, I was wondering what that echo was. You have your, it's fine, I muted you, but you have your, I guess your Skype and your, in-game thing on the same key.
Oh no, that's right.
Yeah, you're good. I fixed it, but just letting you know if you, like, do some shit with other people or whatever. So the first thing is you're going Atos, first item.
So you're not screen sharing. Do you mind,
yeah.
this much?
I haven't got any
Yeah.
yet, so.
So, I wasn't quite sure what build to go. I know there's a lot of different options for Pudge,
Yeah.
but I just don't, I don't know all the options.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how to, like, pick.
Yeah, okay. We can start with that then, because that's one of the things that's pretty tricky to figure out. Okay, so the Tranquils and the Urns basically every single game. And the order is if it's going great and you can get an Urn at like 3 minutes and you're like snowballing hard, Urn will make you snowball harder than Tranquils will. But so I'd say like 5% of the games it's better to go for the Urn than the Tranquils. But the rest of the time it's usually better to go for the Tranquils because you want your boots no matter what. So getting your Tranquils is only 550 gold, whereas Urn is 875.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's like 50, 60, 70% more, whatever it is. And then also a Windlace is pretty good just on its own. And then you also can't buy the Raindrop for the Urn until 3 minutes, and the Raindrop is the best part of the build-up because it gives you a lot of mana. It won't solve all of your mana problems in all of your games, but it literally is 50% more mana regen. And it's got the spell block. So if you can use 4 of the 5 charges of your Raindrop, you're using like 180 gold of the active, or the consumable part of it. And then you just throw it in your backpack, and then you can use the 1 charge of the Raindrop to finish the Urn. So you can effectively cut down the cost of the Urn by doing that. But that's not something that you would usually, like, if you have all the components for your Urn, you don't want to, like, lock it until you have, like, 1 charge left or something like that. So you usually want to go the Tranquils first, and when you go for the Urn, you usually want to get the Raindrop first. And then usually it's, I usually get this. Either I get my Tranquils and this, depending on if a fight went like super well and I have abundance of gold, or I'll get my Tranquils and then put the Raindrop on the courier and then fly it to me whenever somebody else uses the courier.
Take that shortcut.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do that more often.
Yeah, and then
Is there a shortcut for putting items on the courier?
not really. I just have a hotkey that brings me to the courier, and then here, let me go in here.
You have a hotkey that sends it home, and then you just push them 1, 2.
Yeah. Or there's you just select your courier and then you click like put in stash or whatever.
Oh, right. Got it. Yeah.
Why? I don't know why it's not letting me demo, but whatever. Oh, it's because I'm in the replay, of course. So usually you want to go something like Tranquils. This is going to be like 90% of the games, or 95. Tranquils, and then you want to get your Raindrop, and then you want to get, if you're going to fly out the courier, you want to get your Circlet and your Urn of Shadows.
So that you can get the ring at the side shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you can sometimes get like extra kills or save people because of that. And it's just kind of like the same thing as AM Battle Fury, where you, or old Battle Fury, where you would want to finish it at the side shop because it just oftentimes ends up better. And then if a game is going bad, you want to throw in a wand with that, because what you can do is quick buy your Tranquils, Urn, and then throw a wand at the end of it, and then if you keep dying, you can just buy out. And if the game's going poorly, it'll usually end up making you buy like a branch or two or a mango or something. And if you do that, you might lose like 30 extra gold or whatever, as opposed to you dying if you buy a mango, but you're also not losing the 70 gold that just like dissolves. And then if that happens enough, you'll have these parts of the wand, and then it's like, all right, might as well make the stick. And the thing with stick, when you're behind, it's really good because like wand is one of the most effective items in the game, like just for what you get out of it per gold. But the problem with it is that it's not a good item compared to like 2,000 gold items. And when you're doing well in a game, you tend to quickly fill up slots. But if you're doing poorly in a game, you're going to have that wand for like 40 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes in a good game. So all of these things are kind of like, if your game's going to shit, it's really good to just pick up a wand. So those are that's basically every single game. I'd say there's only like a 0.1% of games that you don't want to go that, and it's like not even worth our time for me to explain it. But there,
your second windlace in your early games for that casual windlace to upgrade to
the spirit vessel.
The spirit vessel, yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, that's when you can start deviating your build. So the main items that I would look at, of course, Blink Dagger is amazing on Pudge, even with the recent nerf. And then the other items, like Blink is like one of the main ones that you probably want to get like 70% of your games as your next item. And then
and Hood. I am not used to buying Hood.
Yeah, Hood's really good on him because you're gonna take you're gonna take the magic damage no matter what. It basically makes Rot on its own doesn't really do anything in a 1v1 because you're both taking the same amount of damage, but Hood makes it
Hood, then it's just pure damage to them.
Yeah. And it can help you. You can quickly upgrade it. And then this is really helpful for pushing high ground against teams with good magical wave clear, like a Tinker or something. And then of course, there's Glimmer Cape too, which is more, it's more of a situational because it costs a good amount of mana for Pudge. What I would get this when they have like a Necrophos, or if we have one core that needs to survive. If they don't have too much detection, all of these things play a factor into it. And then also if your game's kind of like going shitty, you kind of want a Glimmer instead of a Hood of Defiance, because the Hood is like, I'd say Hood is worse than Glimmer, but Hood has the potential of becoming Pipe. So you can spend more and make it a lot better. But Glimmer is kind of like dead end, so it's a little bit stronger. And
what do you use Glimmer for in this case? Is it just for positioning, or do you use it as you're channeling your ult, or?
It's situational. You can use it for everything, and it's not a like. You do it like this, like with Blink Dagger. You're not always like, all right, well, I'm gonna get this Blink Dagger, and then I'm gonna blink on their carry. It's like you're gonna do that, or you're gonna blink to save someone from Chrono. Or you're going to blink backwards to save yourself from a gank. Or there's like a ton of different things that you can do with Blink, and Glimmer's the same, where like maybe sometimes you'll want to, let's say they still have their tier 1 up mid, you might want to like Glimmer here and then run over here and throw a hook and catch the guy and kill him. And then other times like, let's say your carry is Bane ulted and they have like a bunch of magic damage, but you can't hook the Bane or whatever, then you can just throw the Glimmer Cape on him. Or some shit like that. And then...
And why not Shadowblade, out of curiosity? What's the Does Shadow Blade just not help him enough in comparison to other carries?
It's
Is it too much gold or
Pudge. Pudge isn't really a carry. You don't get the damage and the attack speed don't do anything. The cooldown's longer. It's twice as long. It's like 50% more gold.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Pudge is, how do I put it? Shadowblade is good to have to scout out people that you don't know where they are and then be able to kill them on your own, which does not line up with how Pudge kills people unless he's extremely ahead.
Got it.
So like a Alina mid might want a Shadowblade because if she Shadowblades into their jungle and finds their sniper or something, she can just
fuck him up.
Yeah, whereas a Pudge, like, unless he's super far ahead, he can't do that.
Right.
And if you're super far ahead, you can do other things like just put a ward here and
then see them and then you don't need to Shadowblade.
Yeah. Plus it doesn't have the magic resistance also, which is huge.
Right.
And you can't Shadowblade your teammates. So all of those are like the main reasons why you don't like. I'd never buy Shadowblade on Pudge. I don't think there's been a single time.
I was just curious about the tactical.
I got you.
I've never bought it on Pudge either.
Yeah.
I've also never bought Glimmer Cape. So.
Yeah, I got you. And then Spirit Vessel. The only times that I'll go that.
Huskar.
Yeah, Huskar. Because it just shits on him. What else is there? Force Staff for situational things like if they have a clockwork, I almost always go Force Staff next because he can just fuck me up if I don't have one. And then he can also, if I have a teammate that's stuck in the cogs with him, I can Force Staff my teammate instead of having to hook him, essentially saving my hook. And then Aether Lens. The two main things that I look for with Aether Lens is
how close they are to your high ground.
Yeah, or if you have an OD, because you have no mana problems with an OD, and you can set up his hook from like almost anywhere on the map with your extra 250 range. And then it also links up with your blink dagger, so you can blink really far and hook really far.
That's active blink. That's cool.
Yeah. What else is there?
So would you go Force Staff after Blink? You put Blink Dagger before Force Staff? Because Force Staff, it has cheap components, right? So you can buy you can buy the Scepter if you have like 1,000 gold and for buyout and stuff, or...
I usually, it depends on the game a lot, but I'll kind of... I don't really want to get Blink and Force unless I have to. Like, let's say...
So you go Force instead of Blink if there's like a cog or you have an OD.
And then I try to use that as my Blink Dagger or as my save.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's kind of like, when you have both of them, they overlap a lot, which sometimes it's still worth it because they're both amazing items for the gold. Yeah. So it's fine if, like, you escape with a Blink Dagger instead of a Force, and then your Force is just on cooldown. If you're in one of those games where it's good to have both, which would be something like, let's say they have a Clockwork and a Void, where for you to win the team fight, you just basically have to hook your whoever out of Chronosphere, so you can use your Force to stay away from the Clockwork, and then use your Blink to guarantee that you can hook out of Chrono. So that's kind of like a situation where I'd be thinking to go both of them. And then
when you say you blink out of Chrono, can you use Blink Dagger when you're in Chronosphere?
No, you blink. So you can blink. Let's say he throws a Chronosphere right here, and you are right here. And you want to hook this Viper. You have a Spirit Breaker outside of the Chrono and a Shadow Shaman inside the Chrono. You use the Blink Dagger so you can blink here
to the left, and then you hook him.
Yeah.
Got it.
Whereas if you're right here and you run all the way over here, then it's
dead.
Yeah. And then those are basically it for the lower end items, I think. One sec. Yeah, and then Ghost Scepter, of course, is another one that's gonna like if you're just getting right clicked a bunch, and you can't deal with it, Ghost Scepter's fine.
Right. So that's mostly against sniper and.
Yeah, like a PA, a sniper, especially people with bashes.
Oh, Tiny?
Yeah. Tiny doesn't have a bash.
I'm thinking of his tree. Does that count as magic damage or?
That it's physical, or it's his right click, so it stops it. Like OD and Silencer's right clicks are pure damage, but it's still stopped by Ghost Scepter with their modifiers on it.
Cool.
But another thing with Ghost Scepter that I really like is when you get your 200 GPM talent and the game goes like 45, 50 minutes, you can build it into a Ghost Scepter, which or a Ethereal Blade.
Into an E-Blade,
yeah.
Which helps with,
Yeah, and then...
You can use that on people as you ult them.
Yeah, and then Heart, of course, goes with that. The other late game items, Yules can be good. The main thing that I'd look for to get a Yules is if they have an axe that's like a problem for us, because you can just, if you see him right here and he's coming in to call you guys, like right here, you can just right click you can click your Yules on him, so the second that he blinks in here, your character instantly Yules him, because your turn rate is less than his call animation, and then he's just like sitting in the middle of your team, and you guys can all back up and then kill him. But aside from that, I don't really like Yules. It's a bunch of mana, and it solves all of your mana problems, essentially, with the intelligence and the mana regen. But it's almost 3,000 gold to solve your mana problems, make you a little bit quicker, and then the Cyclone kind of just sucks, because it's less than 600 range. And it's 175 mana. So it's... A lot of people like think of it as a setup for Hook, but like you can just get a Atos that's range is more than twice as... Yeah. And you get all the strength and the intelligence and the cooldown shorter and the mana cost is lower and you get more intelligence, and it's not a good setup for Hook. And then that goes into Atos, which is... Atos is pretty good for situations where the enemy team is screwed by root, essentially. So like a Meepo or a Storm or a Quap or an AM, all of those get shit on by by Atos, because the heroes that are usually shit on by Atos are heroes that are very maneuverable, and that's how they're survivable. So a Storm Spirit or an AM or a Quap, they're hard to kill, but they're not hard to kill because they're like a Bristleback or a Tidehunter. They're hard to kill because you can't stay on them and do the damage.
Right. Or like a Faceless or a...
Yeah. And the Atos makes it so... Like, if you Atos an AM for 2 seconds, or let's use Quap because she's, like, the squishiest. A 2-second root on Quap is about, like, 5 times better than a root on, like, Tidehunter, because she's just so much squishier, and that's how you deal with her. So, your Atos, it's also got a decent build-up with the 2 bracers. That gives you, for less than 1,000 gold, you get right under 300 health. And then, of course, that damage goes into your ult, too, and your right clicks and everything. And then you also get a little bit of intelligence and 1 armor. But you can use it in a lot of different ways. It can set up for your hook. It can prolong your hook. Like, if you get a hook and you ult somebody and then Atos them, then you disable them for about 5 seconds. or you can Atos and hook them, and they're still rooted for like a second, and then you ult them, so it's like 4 seconds there.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can pop Lincolns with it also, which is huge, because popping a Lincolns with an Atos is a lot better than popping it with a Force Staff usually, because a Force Staff is more likely to like save somebody's life or something like that, and you want to save it more for that. And then there's Ags, which I don't really like it so much.
Yeah, I remember you said that's mostly faceless.
Yeah, and they got rid of his mana regen talent at level 10. So it's like I would usually get the mana talent and then get the Ags, because you don't really have the mana to be spamming hooks every 4 seconds. So you would also, another thing that would push it closer is having a CM or an OD on your team, because that, it's not that it's bad to have a hook every 4 seconds, it's just you're going to run out of mana 20 seconds in if you're just throwing blind hooks every 4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then Blade Mail's a really good one later in the game. Usually if they have unavoidable AoE, or if you have a fuck ton of strength and you just want to run at them and be annoying at like 50 minutes with a heart and an E-Blade. And it's the 6 armor does a lot when you have a bunch of health. And then of course the intelligence is always nice. I don't think I've gotten a BKB, but like 1% of my games. It's usually like, by the time that you want to get a BKB, you would almost rather have the stuns be casted on you than most the rest of your team anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lotus Orb is just, it's good on him like it's good on anyone. It's just more dependent on the enemy team than anything. Shiva's, I don't get it too much.
What are times where you would consider it?
I guess it would be when there are a lot of right click, and the thing with Shiva's is it tanks you and your team up. And it gives vision. So if, let's say they have a Slark, then it can be good because you can track him into the trees or something. Or a Tinker, if you want to Shiva's and then blink into the trees, you can oftentimes find him. I guess like if they had a lineup like AM, Storm Spirit, and then like another right clicker, and then if I can reduce their attack speed, it will do a lot for us. But that's kind of it. I don't get it too often. I don't think I've ever got Lincoln's. Heart, we already know that one's good. E-Blade's good. That's about it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like your late game should look something like Boots of Travels, Heart, E-Blade, Blink Dagger, and then like 2 situational items. Something like maybe a Sheep Stick if you really need it, maybe an Ags, maybe an Aether Lens, maybe a Shiva's, something like that, maybe a Lotus Orb. But yes, so do you have any questions about the build?
So mostly just mid game. So you build Urn and Tranquil first, and then sort of Blink and or Hood or Glimmer, and then an Aether Lens. If they're pushing to your high ground and losing.
Aether Lens is a good item to get if you can get it around when they're pushing high ground. So if you guys are ahead, you don't want to build it and them not push high ground for 10 minutes, because you'd be better off with a Blink Dagger for those 10 minutes.
So build Blink Dagger sort of first, and then maybe Hood of Defiance or Glimmer Cape if you're losing, and Aether Lens as they push to high ground.
Something like that, kind of. It's just considering what all of the mid-game items will do for you in that specific game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it shouldn't be you always get blink, because sometimes that 2,200 gold is
Doesn't
just...
come. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And then it might be good to, like, go for a Hood of Defiance and just, like, be in the way. Because with a Cloak, you're a lot stronger, and then with a Cloak and a Ring of Health, you're a lot stronger, and then you're only 300 away from being a fuck ton stronger.
Yep.
And then if they have like a Tinker and you can't afford a Blink Dagger, or like a Lashrek or some shit like that, then you can just get a Blade Mail and run around in their spells and kill them. You can go Atos if they have... Atos is really good for... Yeah, the main thing that would make me want to go in Atos early is if we don't have any other way to deal with them. Let's say they last pick an AM, and you guys have, like, this lineup, but with, like, a Jakiro instead. You guys are going to have a hard time, because, like, Slardar might be able to blink and get the stun, but, like, what if the dude blinks right when he does it, which is, like, not that rare, and then you guys are kind of screwed. So an Atos would be good there, because you can Atos into Charge, into Stomp, or Crush, into Hook, into Dismember. But if you don't have the Atos, you're not doing any of that.
Right.
So yeah. It's kind of like... It's hard to explain because there's a lot of factors that go into when to build each. But I think I've given...
Yeah, that's a pretty thorough, like, explanation of early, mid, late.
Yeah, that's enough to get you on the right path, and then if you get some games in and you come back and you're like, what should I have done here? Then I can, like, better help with that. So any final questions on that?
No, that's great, thanks.
Yep. I don't like that you started with Rot right away.
Okay. So
Like,
you consider Hook first if we're in a good spot?
yeah, it's just you're not gaining anything by skilling it so early, but you're losing the potential to, like, if this Juggernaut walks up and you can hook him, then you can Shackles him and
we can totally fuck him.
Yeah, but if he just walks up here and walks back, you lost that kill opportunity by going for Rot first.
So would you recommend just waiting on skilling the first level talent until right there we could have gotten that in theory? Would you recommend waiting skilling the first level talent until there's an opportunity to hook and then
essentially
doing it? And if not, then you get Rot to help with last hits?
Yeah, it's just kind of like if Hook is obviously going to get you a kill on an important hero. Like, if you're going to get a kill on the Lion after your Shadow Shaman's already died, it might not be worth it because you're not getting the first blood and it's just a Lion. And then you're going to be stuck with Rot, or with no Rot for a little while, which means you can't really gank mid. So here, it's better to prioritize the range creeps because the tower's gonna go on them. And they're worth more gold, and it's easier to predictably get a last hit on these guys. Because all you have to do is attack them once, before the tower attacks them twice, and then you can get the last hit from that.
So you hit them once, the tower hits them twice, then you hit them for the last hit, and that gets it to you every time?
Yeah. It's something with your damage. I think it's like if you have 70 or less or 80 or less damage, that will work most of the time. Because your hero has damage variance, and then the tower also has damage variance. It's 100 to 120 twice, so it can be 200 or 240 damage. And then your right click can be 52 or 58. So there is variance with it, but with Rot, it makes it really easy. Because you just...
Are there like guides on like this damage calculation you're doing, or do you just like know that from having done it so much?
I've seen it. I just don't memorize it. It's definitely out there. Dota 2.
I can Google around for it. I was just curious if you.
I've seen it on like Reddit and shit, but there isn't like I haven't seen a calculator or something like that for it.
Got it.
Nice. One thing to point out, you're not using your quick buy.
Yeah, I must have not set it up this game. I set it up almost every game now, and I must have forgotten this time. You'll see me by the time here I go. There it is.
Yeah. So another thing with this is you can with you can do the wand and the windlace, for finishing off your tranquils takes up 2 slots because you have the boots already. Your urn takes up 4. And then you can throw the windlace and the wand in the last slots. The only thing with that, though, is you can't buy out the branches and shit, because I don't think you can buy past the 8th slot. So if you're going to die with 50 gold, you'll miss your branch, I think. And I think this is, I wasn't paying attention, but I think this is one of those times where you could have put your shit on the courier, and brought it to you. It wouldn't have mattered too much because it would have been, this. It would have gone from bottom to top, and then back to base, so it's not that efficient, but...
Yeah. Make sure I add that key binding so I can...
Yeah, and here, I think you're doing something with your items or something, but you completely just, like, give up on last hitting for 4 creeps. And you getting farm is more important than this Shadow Shaman getting farm. So I don't know what you were doing here. And here, I don't like this because you're going to gank a lane that's only had invis heroes and you don't have any detection. Plus, you're leaving your Shadow Shaman to offlane alone. Like, you guys have a shitty lineup. Like, your Spirit Breaker should probably be in the offlane and you should be roaming with this guy being your carry. And then this guy either top or bottom, probably bottom. But considering that you're in an offlane with this guy, you want to be there soaking up experience and farm. And if you just have the Shadow Shaman there, he's not going to be able to do anything to the Juggernaut or the Lion. And he's barely going to get any farm. He's probably just going to die. And if he does get farm, it doesn't matter. He's a fucking Shadow Shaman. Like, an early Blinker Mana Boots is really nice, but it's still... You're having a position 5 farming a lane for you to go gank some invis heroes without detection.
Got it. Yep. I think that is a point well taken because I don't think I get a gank here.
Well, it's like, even if you do, it's... I guess they have sentries laid out a lot, so it's not too bad. But it's still, even if you do get a kill, you're still leaving your Shadow Shaman to solo offlane.
Right.
And I think...
should have asked for a rotate or a...
Yeah. It's one of those where if either of the situations were true, like them having a lot of invis bottom, and you not having detection,
it would still be a bad decision even if it was just one of those two things. But it's two of the two.
Yeah. And here, I'd be putting a clarity on here. Um,
Yeah, so how many clarities do you buy into mid and late game? Do you buy them up to like 15 minutes or something, or
it's kind of like,
you buy until it's not a problem anymore?
yeah, it's like if you can get a good hook out of a clarity, it's worth it. And clarities give you 41%. They give you about 5 mana per second for 50 seconds. So they give you about 2 hooks or a hook and a half. So if you can do a lot with a hook or a hook and a half, and it's more than just a hook or a hook and a half, because like let's say you have 0, or let's say you have 50 mana.
Not much you can do.
Yeah, but if you can have a clarity, then you're going to stay on the map for another 2 or 3 minutes, and you're going to have 2 or 3 more minutes of your passive regen. So you also have to factor that in. So a clarity can mean you have an extra 300 or 400 mana before you have to go back to base, even though it only gives you an extra whatever amount.
Right, you can do a lot more.
Yeah.
Do you queue those up in your quick buy too?
Yeah.
Got it.
You should be. I don't always do it, but it's good. It's definitely good to do. And it's kind of like, my reasoning with it here is you're going to be using the courier anyways. And
might as well throw 50 gold worth of stuff on it.
Yeah, and you're not going to have...
you can get the Ring of Protection from the side shop.
Yeah, and you aren't going to get your urn until the recipe goes to you. And by the time that the recipe gets to you, you're going to have enough mana for the Ring of Protection and the clarity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, enough gold for both, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of like you don't lose anything by doing it. Have I sent you those 2 videos on how to roam?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
what you also like. I was looking at what you can do and knowing what to do and what.
Yeah, when to do it, why to do it, all that. Yeah. And it's kind of like hard to tell with this game because you should be sitting top because your team sucks, your lineup sucks, and it's hard to roam when you have a position 5 in the offlane and they have a bounty hunter and they have an invis hero that isn't the bounty hunter. So it's like hard to gank mid or hard to gank bottom. It's hard to leave top. And if you want to go bottom, you need detection. And if you want to go mid, it has to be pushed up to here. So it's a pretty hard game to like roam. So what you're doing is like kind of fine, yeah. I would like to see you have some dust though. I probably would have got dust before the urn. Because you can always, if you think a bounty hunter's on top of you, you can scan yourself, and if it's red, you just pop the dust and you can kill him, and then everyone will think you're awesome or some shit.
Right.
Lol, this is a goon fight.
Oh, yeah. Our Shadow Shaman was a piece of shit this match.
Feels bad.
Yeah.
I don't like this hook though.
I was going for.
Yeah, you're going for the bounty, but I still don't like it.
The angle or the fact that I threw it at all?
The fact that you threw it at all, because if you get the hook, it doesn't help you at all. You guys
I still can't target them.
You don't have any detection except for this sentry, and you're hooking him out of the sentry.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would have rather liked to see you do is run him down until, like, right now you should be running at him, rotting, and then following him.
Hook him when he gets in there.
Yeah, and you have more movement speed than him with the tranquils, so if you get your rot on him, you're going to keep it on him. And then run him down to here, and then right in the tower range. Oh, cool, I can ping now. Awesome. Like right here, you can throw the hook if he isn't dead already by then. Does that make sense why that would be a lot better?
Yeah.
It might not have worked because a lion showed up and a sniper's going to be showing up, but it's still like, if you got that hook, if he just doesn't walk this way, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And dust is a lot better than sentries, unless, like, if you're roaming, you'd rather have a dust than a sentry, because it's, for one, it's cheaper, relative.
You get 2 uses and it's 80.
Yeah, and it slows, and you can chase people down. Whereas a sentry, it's really good for a lane, but it's not good for ganking a lane, because you only get this area for the 2 seconds that you're a surprise being there, and then after that they know you're there and they know the sentry's there, so it's kind of like,
Gigs up.
yeah, it's like really good against a weaver, because like, does he really want to buy a sentry, or is he just going to avoid this area for 4 minutes? And if you can have him avoid this area for 4 minutes, that's like pretty good. But if you're going to gank him and you're going to drop a sentry while chasing him, and he just Sakuchis out of it in like 2 seconds, you wasted a sentry almost. Should be going for the bounty runes here. He ends up going for him. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
I don't like this this ward. The only thing that it provides more than this ward is like this little area
That's right.
this will catch eventually. Like this ward we'll see like right here. So you're missing this, and this information doesn't matter.
Right, and the other side is even better.
Yeah, like you get all of this with the other ward, which is much more valuable than this little chunk and this little chunk. This one's really good for if you're on the Dire and you're gonna take Roche, because this vision's super important, and this vision, and they're probably not coming this way, because you probably pushed your lane out to here before you Roched. So you'll know if they're running this way. See, this is where if you just dust him and run him down, instead of having had a sentry. And at this point, when you're playing a support, especially Pudge, most position 4s, at around 6, 7, 8, or 9 minutes, between 7 and 9 minutes, you want to look at what your experience is like, and then consider the tome. Because it's like, in most games that are, some games you'll just get level 6 by 10, and that's like a really good game. And then most games it's like, for me to be like,
you're a little behind. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be able to hit level 6 with the tome at 10 minutes. And that's like a pretty decent game. But if you're like level 4 at 10 minutes, then you're pretty far behind, and you're not going to hit level 6 with the tome. So you need to be looking at the tome at 7, 8, or 9 minutes. And then the ones at like 20 and 30 minutes don't really matter too much, unless that means that you're like gonna get your talent at level 15 or 20 from it. Then it's pretty important, but this doesn't matter too much in this situation, but
He was out of route.
you want to earn when you only have one charge left, you want to earn almost always.
You get 2 charges on death.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's basically like you get the same thing if you
quicker.
use it or
You
not.
get 2 charges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is another thing where you've had these 3 items in stash while the courier was just sitting there, and then somebody flew out the courier. And so right now you're backing like if you it's 2 mistakes. It's one that you didn't fly out of clarity with the rest, but that's only a mistake because you in the first place didn't put your items on the courier while the courier was in base. Like the courier's got like 9 slots, so if you put like 4 or 5 things on it, you're usually gonna be fine. This was him being horrible, but you definitely should have. I don't think you kill him no matter what. Actually, he's got like shit for health, so maybe you do. But you want to dismember here first. Because that will lock him down under the tower, and it's easier to get the dismember and then the hook than it is to get the hook than the dismember.
I should have run right there.
Well,
I came back to try and help get
yeah.
the kill, and
if you just ran back to base here,
mm-hmm.
I think you die no matter what because of the bug, but you could have suicided with rot at least.
Yep.
I don't mind the play too much. Like it was close, and then he time lapsed, and then your Spirit Breaker also didn't do anything, and then you got flamed by the enemy team. Lol.
It's like whatever.
Yeah.
You got lucky.
Okay, so the mistake here was you go in and you right-click Jug instead of the healing ward. The healing ward is giving him 5% of his health back every single second. Your right-click does...
Was that good?
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Your right-click does like 45 damage to him. Unless it's blocked by... He doesn't have Stout Shield. Yeah, you're doing 45 damage with your right-click on this guy, which is less than, like...
It's healing him per second.
Yeah, 0.6 seconds of his healing ward, I think, heals for the same amount that your right-click does on him. So unless you guys are going to kill him in 0.6 seconds, you should be right-clicking the totem instead. And then all of this, like, he's literally just living because you didn't right-click the healing. And then, like, here, you should even be right-clicking it. And then... What is this?
Right.
I would be trying to get the hook on him, like here. Because he's locked down enough.
That could almost kill him, right?
It will kill him. 356... Your hook does 365. So it definitely would have killed him. And even though it's like super close, it would have at least disabled him and put him down to 1 hit away. Whereas you wait and then you get mana drained and then you die. And then he lives. Hopefully he lives so you can get flamed better. Feels bad. Ah, he lives. Nice. Yeah, that's all your fault. Like all of this
Right.
guy's death, this guy's death, your death. Just fucking hook him.
All three could have been prevented with a hook.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then I'd be getting the bracer here. Um, the staff doesn't really do. The staff costs twice as much, and it's like not as
And
good.
doesn't do as much.
Yeah. Like most, even intelligence heroes value strength over intelligence. So let's say it's conservative, and it's something like strength is worth 10% more than intelligence. Bracer alone with the strength and agility or intelligence would be better than Staff of Wizardry, and then there's also the agility, and it's half the cost. Plus, if you got a bracer, you could also get dust. And it's like if you get 2 bracers, it's more than half of a Staff of Wizardry worth of intelligence for less gold.
Right. So even on intelligence heroes, pretty much go for not intelligence items first.
Yeah. I think maybe the only hero that would want to go the staff would be like a hero that's farming with their mana. Like maybe a Leshreck or like a Storm Spirit, but I don't see those two ever getting a Atos.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only other consideration is basically if you only have 1 slot left, this is a lot more intelligence for that slot. But that doesn't fucking matter on Pudge.
Because, right.
Lol. And then one of your main things is you just don't you don't manage your items effectively.
Yep.
Like you went back to base and you didn't even pick up your.
I didn't grab the stash.
Yeah. And that's another thing that happens when you go with sentries instead of dusts. You hold on to them for a while and it burns a hole in your pocket, and then you just throw them randomly for like a 5% chance of catching a ward or something.
Mm-hmm. In this case, I was also wanting to prevent the bounty hunter, but that would also be...
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Do you have any questions so far?
Nope.
Yeah. So
at this point, the game just starts to snowball.
Yeah, the mistake is the Spirit Breaker goes in after you guys already lost your tower. And then you should be going for the Lion, because the Weaver can just time-lapse.
Right.
And even if you get your ult on him, you're going to get cancelled by one of these guys quickly enough after that you're not going to get the kill. And it's basically like going on a Void. He's just going to time-lapse and it's not going to do anything unless you kill him.
Right.
But if you went on this Lion here, like if you threw the hook right
in between them, right?
Yeah.
Right now, that Lion it was.
Yeah. You might not have saved the Viper, and you probably wouldn't have. Like there's a 5% chance of the Viper living, but you definitely get the Lion. the kill. Wait, do I have? Oh, yeah, I muted you because of the voice thing.
Most of the rest of this is probably just us losing, because...
Yeah. I was about to say we might want to call it here because we talked about a lot of things that'll, like item decisions and all of that. And this is kind of like, you're not roaming, so there isn't much for me to talk about with the roaming.
Yep.
So do you have any final questions or anything?
No, that's good. I'll keep playing and keep, put some items on the courier.
Yeah.
Using that.
Hopefully. Yeah. Alright, yeah, so I'll put that video up and I'll send you the link in a bit.
Yeah, great.
Alright, yep.
Thanks so much.
Yep, thank you.
Next time I'll also, like, look, because there were some games where I was like, man, I really wish I had this game. I really wish I could go over this game. So I'll keep track of those numbers for next time.
If you want to get the most out of the coaching, the best thing that you can do is watch the replay first and then write down anything that's like remarkable about it, like any questions you have or anything like that, and then like I can quickly go through that and I don't have to look for content to teach you off of. I can just have that already laid out for me and I can come in and teach you it.
Excellent. I will do that for next time.
Alright, sounds good. We can try and do one in like 5 days or so. Something like that. Whenever you have your games in, no rush.
Yeah, no worries.
Alright, thanks for getting the lessons, and I'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit. Thanks so much.
Yep, peace.